Welcome to our latest episode of the Lebanese Physicians Podcast. And today we will be discussing reverse migration with Zina Malas, who will introduce herself to us in a bit. And the title of the episode is From Canada Back Home, The Truth About Reverse Migration. So Zina Malas actually is an entrepreneur and consultant and the founder of Tawlé Consultancy. And she's going to discuss with us her bold decision to move to Canada first, then return to Lebanon despite being told that this was a big mistake and that she is doing a crazy thing. Zina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Zina, first, before you tell us a bit about you, but then what's this crazy thing that you did?
Of course. So basically, I'm a business optimization consultant. I used to live in Canada. I moved there after I graduated and stayed there for 3 years and then decided to move back to Lebanon to pursue my career and, well, technically establish my company back home. So yeah, here I am. I've been back for about 5 months now. And I know it's a bit unusual, but honestly, best decision of my life.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit. So I'm going to ask you this because you grew up in Lebanon, and then I think you lived part of the years of collapse and maybe the port of all this stuff in Lebanon before you moved to Canada, because I think you moved to Canada maybe 2022, right? Something like that.
Yeah. No, I was in the heart of the explosion, actually.
Exactly.
So I lived it all. Yeah.
Me too. I was there too. So
yeah.
Two of us.
Oof, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Anna, I have to ask you the questions as well.
You can ask me anything you want. But so what pushed you to move? How many did you make the decision to move to Canada?
Okay, so basically, I started university. So I started my bachelor's degree in 2019 at the American University of Beirut. And it's crazy how things happen the way that they kind of should, because otherwise I wouldn't be where I am now. So initially I wanted to leave the country for my bachelor's, but my parents were completely against it. They were like, no, you're too young. It's still too early. You know, like Lebanese mentality.
Yeah.
Literally a month into like me being a student there, everything started happening. The revolution started, and then COVID happened, and then the explosion happened. And I decided to move to Canada in 2022 once I graduated, because I remember being so burnt out and tired and like stressed out, and my nervous system was completely dysregulated. And I had spent my 3 years, what was supposed to be my 3 years of bachelor's degree, I just spent them working or on the streets fighting for the country. So khalas, like by the third year, once I graduated, I'm like, I need to get out. I can't keep doing this. And I remember I was working 2 jobs by the time I graduated, and I was making maybe like $150 a month with both jobs combined. So you reach a point where you're like, okay, I love my country, but I also need to live a little bit. And I have the Canadian passport. I got it when the first war broke out in 2006. Lol. But I ended up moving there because I have a lot of friends who live in Montreal. So I was just like, okay, it makes sense for me to go.
And so when you moved there, like, did you have a job already set up, or you're like, I'll just go there and see what happens?
I didn't have a job. I didn't have an apartment. So I got there and spent the first month and a half couch surfing, sleeping in random places. I remember I had like maybe 2 suitcases with me. One of them was never opened because I didn't have the space to open it. And it was impossible to find a job. I worked like small jobs, like maybe barista at a coffee shop. But this was like, it's a type of jobs where you don't really need to have experience and they don't really care who you are. They're just going to hire you. But otherwise, it was impossible. I found my job, like the first job that I found was maybe 3 or 4 months after I moved. So it was hell to find a job.
So that's where that's the hard part, I think, about one, you moved without a job, and number two, you moved like very far away from your family and maybe a lot of your friends in Lebanon. So what were the hardest parts for you emotionally about migrating to Canada?
Honestly, there were so many things. So already me leaving the country, so burnt out and so genuinely like distraught and devastated by everything that was happening was already very tough. It took me a solid like 2 years to really process what had happened in Lebanon, because I remember growing up, I used to hate hated Lebanon. I was like, ew, I want to leave this country. Who even lives in a place like this? And I remember looking at the West and thinking that the West was like the most advanced and beautiful place in the world. Obviously, when you become an adult and you learn about politics and the economics of life, you understand that it's absolutely not the case. And then also once you live there, but it was it was really really tough because after everything that happened with the revolution and then COVID and then the explosion, my dynamic or like my relationship with Lebanon changed a lot, and I felt like I became kind of like a caretaker, and I was just leaving my baby behind. So leaving to move to Canada felt like I was letting go of a big part of me and a big part of what shaped who I am today. And I remember every single time I get on a plane to leave from Lebanon to Canada, you'd find everyone crying on the plane together because no one wants to leave. You'd look, it was a bit dramatic. Like you'd look out the window, you'd see people crying. But it was very, it never got easier. That's the thing. It never got easier in the 3 years that I lived there. So in the end, I'm like, I don't want to live there anymore. Just bring me back. So
So,
yeah.
so basically, you had this like nostalgia to go back to Lebanon when you were there, but you found a job, right? Like 4 months into it, you found a job, right? You started working.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
But then you had just had the constant nostalgia, like going back and forth and stuff like that. And
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like constant comparison. Like you'd go to a supermarket, you're like, yeah, but in Lebanon, it's not that. Or you'd go out to meet people, you're like, yeah, but in Lebanon, that's not how we socialize.
right.
So, yeah.
So from my standpoint, you think a lot of people like you when you left, you think that leaving automatically solves problems. What's the myth and what's the truth about that?
It depends on what your problems are, if they're mental or physical. I mean, I left problems behind, like, okay, yes, I'm physically safe now. That's great. But mentally, every single problem that I had, I fully believed that the second I left the country, I'd be fine. I was completely wrong. If anything, it hits you so much more because now you've like taken a step back and you can look at things and you can assess them better. Imagine like you were in a war field and then you leave it and you look back and you can see everything that happened. And it was very hard. There was also like the part where I had to process leaving and then being burnt out and then being distraught by everything. But there's also the aspect of, okay, I now live on the other side of the world completely alone at 22. So not even at 21. So there was a lot to process. So no, your problems absolutely don't stay behind when you leave. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think exactly. Sometimes you think that leaving is very easy, but it's not easy at all. When you're like starting a new life, new people, everything is new. It becomes much harder than you think. And maybe even finding a job, like you think, all right, it's going to be like a lot of jobs when I go to the West, and then you're like to Canada, but then suddenly it hits you. It's not as easy as everybody told me or as I heard before.
No, and people forget that you also get there not like even if you have the passport, you're still a foreigner. You've never worked there before. So like when I was applying, people would look at my CV and they're like, "You have zero Canadian experience. Why would we hire you?" So I remember I got rejected so many times. Crazy. Crazy the amount of times I got rejected.
And so, what pushed you? I mean, you were there, you got a job, you were working, and you had the nostalgia, of course. But then, what told you, all right, now it's time to move back to Lebanon and build my career there?
So a couple of things. First, I wanted to start working on Tawlé full time. And Tawlé is my passion. Like I think we'll talk about it in a bit, but genuinely, Tawlé is something that I'm so obsessed with. I love it. It's so interesting. And it didn't make sense to me to be running it in Canada because I was trying to think of, okay, who am I? Just like any business, who am I trying to cater to? And it's absolutely not the West. It's exclusively the Middle East and even specifically Lebanon. So I was like, okay, what kind of like righteousness am I portraying just living somewhere in the West in like my own apartment with the safety of everything and like whatever. And then I'm trying to tell Arabs or like people who live in the Middle East how to do things. This was like the first thing. The second thing was I genuinely dislike Montreal. I love my friends. I had a lot of fun there, but I really hate the city. The negative 25 degrees for like 6 months is not a joke. It's so boring. It's so expensive. It's so far. Like literally one day I remember I was having a chat with my mom and I was telling her like, Mom, I'm not happy, blah blah blah. She just looked at me. She's like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're doing a job that you're not enjoying, living in a country that you don't like, paying rent in a place that you don't enjoy. So what are you doing exactly? I'm like, you got me there. And I remember like the kind of like the cherry on top was I visited Lebanon in last July and I didn't want to leave, literally. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going back to this hellhole. Like, please keep me here. And I literally I told the universe, I was like, universe, please, if I'm not meant to go back to Canada, give me a sign that is so clear I won't miss it. I swear to God, the plane didn't land in Montreal
No way.
randomly. It didn't land in Montreal. I
Where did it
swear.
land?
It's like it's a it was the worst flight of my life. We were in the air for maybe 18 hours trying to land somewhere. We ended up landing in Quebec City and then had to stay there like over it was hell. It was the worst trip of my life. But it was like the biggest sign that the universe was like, please just pack up your stuff and go back home. This is not for you. So literally a month later, on the plane, while it was like doing its thing, I messaged my landlord. I'm like, I'm canceling my lease now. I'm moving back home. It was like, go for it.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think like life is short. Some people like just stay in like unhappy situations for a long time, but if you don't have to and you can do it, then you do it. So you were
Yeah.
yeah, we're talking a bit about like Tawlé Consultancy, but then people start telling you you're crazy, right? And what are so who told you who told you that, and why were they telling you that?
So literally everyone my age or a little bit older was like, no, you're crazy. We're working our asses off. We're making like 500, $600 a month. What do you want to do living back here? Family, obviously, they were super supportive because they want me to move back. But everyone, but like I've never been the type of person to listen to what people say. I'm always like, I want to experience this myself before I decide. So everyone's like, you're crazy. It's like the country's not stable yet. We just got out of like God knows what war at this point. So everyone was obviously supportive, but everyone was telling me that I was crazy. But I'm very happy that I didn't listen to them.
Right. I mean, I can say when I moved myself back in 2018, and people told me also you're crazy. When we had the family at the time too, and I was like, I still
Mm.
even with everything that happened, I still don't regret that we at least tried it and moved back. But it's I think people need to do like what they want to do and not listen to other people to what they
A
say.
hundred. There's always a way.
Right.
There's always a way for you to do
Exactly.
what you want.
And there's always all decisions are reversible potentially if you
A
decide,
hundred
all right, I'm going
percent.
to move out again, you can. It's not like
A
you're
hundred. Everything
stuck.
is temporary. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, a
Yeah.
hundred percent.
So I'm going to ask you this. Tell me more about Tawlé Consultancy and what you're doing right now in it.
Yeah, for sure. So Tawlé is a business optimization consultancy firm. And basically what we do is we work with established companies that have been running for like, let's say 15, 20 years and that completely plateaued or like they're stuck or they're not making money anymore. And unfortunately, this is very common in Lebanon because of everything that happened. Plus, like obviously, you have the political and the economic circumstances, but there is also the unfortunate fact that we are almost like a third world country. So there's so much that gets to us much later. So when I lived in Canada, kind of like the perk of me living there was I learned so much and I acquired so much knowledge just by being in the West. And what we do here is we work with these types of companies and we rebuild their foundation completely within like 8 to 12 weeks to turn them from like an unstable foundation to a profitable legacy. That's literally our slogan. And moving back and doing this here has been honestly like the coolest experience ever. It's so fun.
And so you're doing it mostly in Lebanon or Lebanon and the MENA region?
The MENA region.
MENA
No,
region,
no,
right,
definitely
right,
the
right,
MENA
right.
region. Yeah.
Exactly. Because Lebanon has a limited, you could do it in Lebanon, but then you're limited in terms of how many companies you're going to be able to attract for that. So basically, I guess the move to Canada was not totally bad for you because you learned a lot there that probably helped you
Yeah.
establish
No,
the
no, for
consultancy
sure.
company that you have established at this point, right?
For sure, for sure. It gave me the peace of mind that I needed to be able to think properly That's for sure. It gave me the knowledge that I have, and it taught me life skills that I would not learn. Like I can live by myself, and I know how to take care of myself, and I know how to take care of bills, and I know how to cook. Like these are things that you don't learn if you live all your life with your family in Lebanon. Like it's not, they're not skills that you would acquire unless you're actively trying to acquire them.
Exactly. And so did your perspective about work and other things change after you moved back this time from Canada compared to before you left to Canada the first time?
It's a very interesting question. So before I left for Canada, work felt like something that I was doing to just keep myself occupied, because that's kind of what that was the only thing that we had here. There was literally nothing else going on in the country. So I was just finding jobs left, right, and center, trying to like keep myself occupied. And the work became kind of like an obligation before I left. And then when I got to Canada, my perspective on it was like, okay, I need to find a job because my livelihood relies on me finding a job. Otherwise, I won't be able to pay rent. I won't be able to look out for myself. So it stopped being something that I was doing out of like, I'm interested in this and this is what I want to do. And it turned purely into corporate, like literally corporate America, well, corporate Canada, just trying to find a job, trying to do whatever. And I remember I hated it. I absolutely hate corporate work. I hate doing this, but I had to. And I started dreading it. And then when I moved back to Lebanon, if I didn't have Tawlé, I would probably still be living in Canada. I think this is an important thing to mention, because Tawlé gives me the freedom and the liberty to literally live the kind of life that I want to live on my own terms and still do still do the things that I'm passionate about.
Right, exactly, because you're your own employer, so you can live wherever you want and do whatever you want. Because potentially, if you're with a corporate company, they might tell you move to Dubai or move to Abu Dhabi or do this, do that, then you
Yeah.
do whatever you want. So my question for you is, with Tawlé, how did you build it? Like, because I'm sure you have like you're gonna have your own like networks and stuff like that. So how did you build your network? I guess before and after you moved back.
Okay, so when I was in Canada, because I technically started working on Tawlé in May 2024, I had quit my first corporate job. And I remember just like trying to freelance left, like whoever I could find just to like freelance with. It was much harder than I thought it would be. So I remember by like September 2024, this was kind of like the start of everything. I mean, the start of everything was really in Jan, but like the start of Tawlé was when I started creating content. And this was a first for me because I'm someone who's very, very private with my life. I hate telling people what I'm like. I don't like social media. I don't like these things at all. But I kind of reached a point in September 2024 where I was like, okay, Zina, you're running a company. You have to put yourself out there or else no one's going to hear about it. And I started creating content simply on TikTok. I started like testing things out. I remember my first video was so awkward. It was so awkward, but like you have to start somewhere. And then I started posting things kind of everywhere on social media. I created an Instagram page. I started posting more stuff on LinkedIn. And the ball started rolling from there. A lot of people were interested in what I was doing. And that's how I started getting my clients. And alhamdulillah, the work was really, really good. So word of mouth. And then I started getting more clients. And when I moved to Lebanon, for some reason, like I remember posting about my move to Lebanon and it completely exploded. I guess it really is that uncommon for people to move. And that post alone got me so many new leads. And from there I built my network. Everywhere I go, I talk about Tawlé. Everywhere I go, I try to like explain to people what we're doing, pitch ourselves. And yeah, that's kind of how I built it.
So I guess not only. So how many employees do you have in your company? I guess.
So right now, I see Tawlé as like I'll explain it. I'll explain it that way. So Tawlé is 50% a media company and then 50% an actual consultancy firm. And the media side feeds the consultancy side because the media side is the basically the side of the company that brings in all the leads and all my prospects who eventually turn into my clients. So on the marketing side, we're currently 3 people looking for the fourth one. If anyone is a social media manager, please reach out. And then for the consultancy side, I have a pool of talent. So on the consultancy side, I have a pool of talent who specialize in specific stuff. So someone's in like finance, someone's in operations. It really depends. And based on the scope of the project, they get assigned. So I have technically, if you will, like 3 employees and then a bunch of contractors that get assigned to different projects.
Depending on the project that you get. Wow, good work. So my question
Yeah.
for you is what is, I'm sure, like we talk about Canada. So what are some of the good things and what struck you when you moved back to Lebanon? How did you adapt moving back again? And number two is what are some of the good things and what are some maybe of the things that bother you in Lebanon?
Yeah, so adapting back, honestly, I expected it to be much harder, but I always say that I'm too Lebanese to be living anywhere else. So it literally just took me maybe like 2 weeks to adapt back. I remember I slept so much my first 2 weeks. Like I would sleep for 16 hours every day. This is like 3 years of bad sleep. We made up for them. But it didn't take me much to adapt. I came back, things were fine. And Lebanon, there are so many highlights living here, other than like the familiarity and walking into a place and people know who you are and they know what your order is and like khalas, it's just easy. It's easy and the weather is beautiful. Today the weather was like 22 degrees. I went on a walk next to the beach. Like it's literally, I hate to romanticize it, but it is. I mean, it is that cool. The downside would probably be the Wi-Fi, the traffic, and how angry everyone is all the time. That's understandable. So yeah, that's it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I love it. Like honestly, I love it.
So basically what we're talking about is what's your advice, I guess, for young people who say we want to leave Lebanon and go abroad? Would you tell them do it, don't do it, or do it and but don't think it's gonna be don't romanticize it when you do it?
Yeah. So honestly, do it. Definitely do it. It's gonna change your relationship with Lebanon and it's gonna make you love it so much more. Definitely have realistic expectations. Obviously, everyone thinks that the West is, it has so many perks. I have to say, like the West has a lot of perks, but you're gonna have like you'll reach a point in your life where you'll have to assess what's important to you and you'll realize that on a material, like for everything that you want to buy, like Amazon Prime items, whatever, okay, the West is good for that, but literally everything else, Lebanon is the place for it. Family, friends, relationships, work, network, people, anything you want, convenience, literally you'll have it all. But definitely go abroad, experience living abroad. You learn so much and you'll also learn to appreciate Lebanon more.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is there is a lot of stuff that you can get in the West, including like you can learn and improve whatever, all this other stuff. But maybe what it lacks is the familiarity and maybe the people relations that
The
you don't
warmth,
get in Lebanon, the warmth, right?
100%.
Yeah. And that's interesting. That's why I want to talk to you about this too. That's interesting, it's, especially in the terms of the epidemic of loneliness that's hitting a lot of places in the West these days.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that epidemic in Lebanon? Is there an epidemic of loneliness in Lebanon?
there's no there's no place for it here, literally. Like if you
Right.
want to be alone, there's no place for it, I swear. But I think the interesting thing about that, and I think a lot of people kind of don't understand it, it's also because of how the city or like how the country is built. Canada, or like if we're talking about Beirut versus Montreal, I remember telling my friends that everyone is so isolated. We're so far from each other and it's so hard to reach each other. You have to go out in like insanely bad weather and then take the metro and then have to deal with like a bunch of drug addicts and homeless people trying to attack you. Like it's unpleasant as a whole. But Lebanon, you feel because of also like the architecture and how close people are, and I'm sure the weather plays a big role.
Right.
Things feel so close. So the sense of like loneliness and isolation doesn't exist here because you're constantly around people and they're easy to reach as well. They're not far. So this is also very important.
And people know everything about you, so you should be okay with that. But also, I mean, also one misconception that people have, I think, is like you can walk in Beirut, in the middle of Beirut, and at 2 a.m. and you'd feel safe. It's not like very unsafe to do that. So partially, partially, yeah.
Dep- it depends on the area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what do people misunderstand most about building a life abroad? You can answer like quick questions here.
Yeah, no, for sure. One thing that they misunderstand that it's gonna be all like rainbows and butterflies. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. Finding a job is not going to be easy. Most places now in the West are so expensive. Meeting people as adults is literal hell. If you're a student, go for it. It's going to be the best life. If you're an adult and you're not, and you're working or you're looking for a job, it's not going to be easy. And being far from the things you know is also not going to be easy. It's not that easy to adapt.
You have to adapt, yes. What does home mean to you now?
Home, literally, home as the word. I know it might sound a bit cringe, but honestly, like when I'm anywhere in the world and I get to Beirut, I'm like, okay, خلاص, I'm home. It's all good. Things are fine. Whatever happens, things are okay.
So, which brings the next question. Do you think belonging is a place or a mindset?
Oof, okay. Very interesting question. I think belonging is a feeling. It's not a mindset and it's not a place. It's a feeling where you walk into where you're somewhere, like physically you're somewhere, and your nervous system is calm. Like that's it. You'll feel like this is where you're supposed to be, where this is where you're happy, you're content, things are fine. It could be in Lebanon, it could be in space, it doesn't matter, but it's the sense of contentment. You're fine, you're happy.
Exactly. So your brain is happy. You are happy. Where you are is where you belong, I guess. And can you describe Lebanon in one word?
2 words: organized chaos.
Good one. Can you describe Canada? Canada in one word.
Cultured isolation.
Culture. Okay. To advise people, would you say risk or comfort?
Risk all the way. All the way risk.
I agree with you 100%. I've learned that too myself. So, because
The
if you don't take
reward
risk,
is
you're
so
not going to be
limited.
happy. Comfort is not going to bring you happiness. So,
You don't grow if you're comfortable, you're not gonna grow. And you're also not gonna get the reward that you want.
exactly. All right. Next one. Stay in Lebanon or leave Lebanon?
It depends on what stage you're in life. For me personally, for now, definitely stay.
Stay.
Definitely stay.
Right. Right. So, one message you would give to the Lebanese diaspora, because I'm sure there's a lot of diaspora people who always dream of going back, but they never do. So, what's the message you would tell them?
I think we've experienced the worst, and if there's more bad things that are coming, we'll know how to deal with it. Come home, Lebanon's about to boom, but positively. So I think I genuinely think that Lebanon is the next Dubai. I might be delusional, but it's okay. I'll be delusional. So I genuinely believe it's about to take off like crazy.
I think so. And that's my question for you next is if Lebanon were stable tomorrow, do you think more people would return or have too many roots already grown elsewhere that some people would not return?
There's not a single Lebanese person, even if they have never in their life lived in Lebanon, that doesn't want to live here. So I can guarantee you the second things are stable here, خلاص, it's over for everyone. Everyone's going to be living here.
Yeah, I
For
think,
sure.
in my opinion, I'm like you. I think it might be if things stabilize and it becomes, and there's no, like, that the economy is going to be stable, the more, I guess, the political situation is going to be stable. I think that it could overtake some of the countries in the region. In that case, just
100%.
with all the talent and then the weather. Obviously, like you said before, other places have good weather, but in certain times of the year, not all year long. In Lebanon, I think you can get good weather most of the year. So
Yeah, but also like the geography as well. We're literally on the Mediterranean. Like, how are we different from Greece, except that we're in the MENA region and like Greece is in Europe? It's literally the same thing.
right.
We have the best food, the best people, the best weather, the best like places.
Yeah, 100%. Zina, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for telling us about your great story great and successful story of reverse migration.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Yeah, me too.